Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and this video is about why it's difficult for me to get into Marvel Comics. Okay, and you know, I am no Marvel hater. I am trying here. I started reading Marvel Comics not too long ago. I'm relatively new to it, so I don't really know all of these different events that happened. I don't know a lot of the characters. I'm still trying to learn. Okay, so I don't really know what the characters are really like. So uh, I can only really look at what's happened recently, which is the all new, all different Marvel. I've been reading Miss Marvel. That's good. Spider-Man with Miles Morales, Black Widow, all new Wolverine. Like there are some series I'm reading and I'm really liking. Okay, but the problem with the Marvel universe is the lack of logic in the major events that happen in this universe. Okay, because Civil War 2 is the beginning of it. Because Civil War 2 is the first event I've read in Marvel. Okay, and safe to say, my first major exposure to Captain Marvel is very, very bad. Okay, it just, I mean, when you really think about it, because the entire event revolves around Ulysses, this new Inhuman who's gained the ability to get visions of crimes before they happen. Okay, and logically, you get these visions of crimes before they happen, and you want to stop them, right? That's natural. That's what it means to be a hero. You want to stop crime from happening. You want to save lives. The problem is that when you ignore a person's rights and arrest them for a crime they haven't committed yet, that's not being a hero. That's taking away people's rights and illegally detaining them. That's not being a hero. And it'd be one thing, I mean, not really, you'd still be able to make the argument that it's wrong to do. But if the visions were guaranteed to be correct, then you could at least get a lot of people on your side and saying, listen, I mean, I know it's kind of wrong to do, but in this instance, we know that they're going to do it. So it's the safest way to, no, it's not the safest way to prevent it from happening. The safest way to prevent it from happening, while also keeping all of their rights, is to monitor them and surveil them and then catch them in the act when they're about to do it before anyone actually gets hurt. That's how you do it within the law. That's how you do it without breaking the law or taking people's rights away, right? But you can make the argument that the safest way to do it, where you eliminate all the risk, is to detain them until the time has passed when they were going to commit the crime. You could make that argument if the visions were guaranteed to be correct. The problem is that they aren't. Okay. Tony Stark sits her down and a bunch of other people and lays down a bunch of different reasons as to why those visions are flawed, why they're not always right, why they won't always be right, and how those visions can be manipulated by different people like sidekicks to make Ulysses believe that he's seeing a vision when he's really just seeing what they want him to see. Okay, add in the fact what happened with Bruce Banner when that vision wouldn't have even come true if it wasn't for them acting on it. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy, and that's what half of these visions are going to be, self-fulfilling prophecies. Okay, Ulysses saw a vision of Bruce Banner dying, but if Captain Marvel and Iron Man and all of them, oh, technically the vision wasn't of him dying, it was of him killing people. Okay, but the only reason that vision even had a chance of coming true is because all those people heard about the vision and then decided to go to him. If they didn't know about the vision, they never would have gone to Bruce Banner in the first place, and no one would have died, and the vision would have been wrong. But because they knew about the vision, they all decided for some reason to go to him, which ended in them freaking him out and being like, well, I don't know I didn't do anything. What are you talking about? Like, you're working him up, trying to tell him he's about to do something wrong. And he's like, but I've been fine the last few months. Like, I haven't done anything. Why are you freaking attacking me like this? I haven't done anything. And you're just working him up. Of course, if you keep pushing him like that, he's going to freaking react. Of course it's going to happen. What did you think? That Hawkeye ends up killing him before he can hurt anybody. Right? But like not all of them, but a lot of these visions are just going to be self-fulfilling prophecies. Plus, they have the chance of just being wrong in general. Plus, Ulysses can be manipulated into seeing something that isn't actually a vision, but he thinks it's a vision, so people end up treating it as actual fact when it's just something someone wanted them to see. So there are a lot of ways in which these visions can be wrong. They are very flawed, okay? And if you are going to take away people's rights and arrest them for a crime that they haven't committed, you cannot do that based on flawed, blatantly flawed evidence. You can't do that. But Carol Danvers wants to do that anyway, and for some reason she and the Marvel Universe consider her the hero and the good one, and that doesn't make sense. Well, I say the Marvel Universe, it's mostly Marvel as a company, not the universe itself. But I see that the Mighty Captain Marvel series is starting, and it's got people cheering for her and telling her that she's awesome. Well, clearly the Marvel Universe thinks she's right too. I don't know how, when she's ignoring human rights and acting clearly in a villainous way, illegally detaining people, even going so far as to ignore the victims themselves. When there was a vision of Miles Morales killing Steve Rogers himself says, no, this is ridiculous. You cannot arrest this kid for something he hasn't done. And Carol Danvers says, I don't care if you're the victim. What the victim wants doesn't matter. What I want matters. Okay? So Carol Danvers is trying her best to stop criminals when in reality all she's really going to do is create criminals, because that is a villain backstory in the waiting right there. Falsely accused for a crime, illegally imprisoned, and then it ends up changing you and then turning you into the criminal that they tried to prevent you from becoming. That is a criminal backstory in the waiting. Okay, so Carol Danvers is clearly the bad guy here, but for some reason Marvel considers her to be the good one, and the logical Tony Stark pointing out the logical facts and saying, hey, I'm not telling you that it's wrong to act on these visions. I'm saying we should study this and make sure that the visions he's seeing are correct. That's all he's really saying. Let's make sure they're right. And she can't even agree to that. So that's reason one why it's hard to get in the Marvel Universe, because Civil War 2 makes no freaking sense. Okay? Reason number 2 and 3 together, because they're different events, but they're all together really, is Death of X. Okay, because when I started reading Marvel, I heard all about Cyclops and how he did these horrible things and he was driven mad and he was being compared to Hitler. I'm thinking to myself, well, dang, just what did this guy do? Like, the entire world hates him. Just what exactly did this guy do? And then Death of X comes out and I find out, oh, well, what really happened is the Inhumans are essentially in the process of committing mass genocide by committing acts of terrorism where they release chemical weapons of mass destruction into the air that kill an entire race of people. Yet they're considered the good guys. And Scott Summers is the bad one. Cyclops is the bad one. Because he had the nerve to point out to the world, hey, this chemical weapon can kill people. We should probably do something about it. As a matter of fact, there were 2 Terrigen Mist clouds. He came up with a plan to destroy one of them, but he died before they could really do it, and Emma Frost got involved. And the point is, as far as the world is concerned, he destroyed a weapon that was killing people. So he saved lives. And for that, he's the villain. He's the bad guy. But the genocidal terrorists killing all mutants, they're the good ones. They're the heroes. Now, how does that make sense? It doesn't. That's the entire moral of Death of X, pretty much. Scott Summers is not a bad person. He saved people, and for that, he's hated. Meanwhile, the real killers, the Inhumans, are praised and thought of as these good people. That doesn't make sense. So that's 2 events straight that I've read in Marvel that make no sense, where the wrong person is thought of as the good guy. Okay? And then we get to Inhumans vs. X-Men, which has just gotten started. Only issue 0 and issue 1 have come out so far. Okay? But so far, that's also not making sense. In issue 0, you have Beast saying that Cyclops was driven mad. How is he driven mad? He saved people's lives. That's not being driven mad. That's being a hero. But apparently, it's wrong to be a hero in Marvel. That's what I'm understanding from these events. It's wrong to be a hero in Marvel. Okay, that's why the heroes keep fighting each other, because it's so wrong to be a hero. All these heroes have to fight each other. Civil War and Avengers versus X-Men and Humans versus all these heroes fighting each other because it's wrong to be a hero. Apparently. That's what I'm learning from Marvel Comics right now. Though I haven't actually read Avengers versus X-Men, but again, hero versus hero, it's like the same point. Eventually, I'll go back and read it, but again, I'm in the beginning stages of my Marvel reading, so I'm trying to understand how things are right now before I'm trying to get like the general gist of the universe as it is right now before I go back and try to like look at stuff that happened in the past and figure out what the history is. I just have to figure out what's going on right now before I do that. But and Humans vs. X-Men also isn't making any sense. Not only did Beast say that Cyclops was driven mad when he saved people's lives, and let them know that there's a chemical weapon in the air that kills people, and not just mutants with powers, but innocent people who have the X gene, who didn't even have to have powers actually materialize. They don't actually have to have powers and an active X gene to be affected by this. They can have an inactive X gene with no powers at all. They don't even know that they're a mutant, but they end up getting killed because of the Terrigen Mists. Okay, so Cyclops is saving innocent people's lives, and he gets demonized for it. But the people responsible for killing those people are the heroes. That doesn't make sense. The hero is the driven mad Hitler, but the killers are the real heroes now. Okay, but on top of that, in issue 0, you have Grid and Flint. I think that's their names. They're talking with ISO, and Hank McCoy's there as well. Beast, he's there, and they're talking about how it's an inconvenience for them to have to worry about the X-Men and deal with Terrigen Mist Cloud and protect it from them. I'm thinking to myself, you do realize that the X-Men only want to prevent themselves from being murdered in cold blood, right? Like, the only reason the X-Men care about the Terrigen Mist at all is because it kills them. You could argue that maybe Magneto would have a problem with it because it just creates more and more Inhumans as it goes, and he could have some type of rivalry, and he thinks, oh, they're going to eventually come after us and blah blah blah. Okay, but the greater majority of mutants are going to be like, well, I mean, it doesn't affect us. Why would I care? The only reason the mutants care is because it kills them, and you have the nerve to say, I mean, really, it's not really a problem for anyone but the Inhuman, it's not really a problem for anyone but the mutants. I don't really see why we have to do anything about it. It's a major inconvenience for us. I don't see what the point of this is. Why we have to worry about fixing it? Why we have to work with Beast? I don't really understand why we have to deal with this. It's not that big of a deal. Well, yes, it is a big deal because you're freaking killing people. Like it's amazing to me how little they value life. Like, and they did it so, like, it's a big accusation that they don't value life, other than their own, obviously, and their own kind, and their family and stuff like that. But they genuinely do not value mutant life because they have a chemical weapon in the air that kills mutants. It's a genocidal weapon chemical weapon of mass destruction that kills people, and they genuinely just do not care. They just want to keep going. Go ahead. Who cares? Why should we have to save X-Men? I don't understand. It's not our... Well, it is your fault, but like they just don't understand why they have to do anything about it. And it just boggles my mind how little they value mutant life. Right? So, and then issue 1 came out as well, and I've read that. And, I mean, I just don't understand how there could be... I mean, obviously, most of the mutants decided to go fight the Inhumans because essentially what happened is the Terrigen Mists are getting so potent. Like, the mist itself is just like combining with the atmosphere to a point where the Earth in its entirety is going to become inhabitable for the mutants. So every mutant on Earth is going to have to move to not another state, not another city, not another country, not another continent, to another planet entirely. The Inhumans are literally destroying the world so that mutants are incapable of living on it. And there are mutants saying like, oh, well, I don't see why we should have to fight them and why we should just move. You shouldn't have to. That's the entire point. That's why they want to fight so badly. The Inhumans are going out of their way to destroy you. It's not your responsibility to move just so that they aren't inconvenienced. That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous notion. Hank is saying, I mean, I don't see what the problem is. All we have to do is move to another planet. I mean, why not? Like, no, you shouldn't have to do that. That is a ridiculous proposal. If you want to talk about an inconvenience, there is no way you can make the argument that the X-Men should have to move to another planet just so that the Inhumans can continue their genocidal chemical weapon distribution. That doesn't make sense. Like, that's such a... And even freaking Rogue is like, I mean, I don't really want to move to Mars, but I mean, I don't want to go to war either, so we should just move to Mars. No, you shouldn't. You need to stand up for yourself. The humans are the ultimate bullies, and they act like they're entitled to being able to bully and kill people. And then when you question them, like, why are you killing people? They're like, well, we're the Inhumans. Why shouldn't we be allowed to kill people? Why shouldn't we? And it's just that's why I just can't. That's why it's hard for me to get into Marvel right now, because it makes so little sense. And these events, the events that actually tell you what the Marvel Universe is doing, because individual comics, they can do their own thing, but the real story of the Marvel Universe happens in these events. And all three events sent in the all-new, all-different Marvel that I personally have read make no sense and are completely illogical, where the clear villains of the story are considered the heroes, and the clear heroes of the story are considered the villains, and it makes no sense. Alright, Marvel Comics right now make no sense. And you know what, maybe it's just bad luck on my part, where I just so happen to start reading Marvel at a time where the events make no sense and they're completely illogical. Because I know I'm not the only one with a problem with this stuff. I know I'm not the only person with a problem with Civil War 2 or Death of X or Inhumans vs. X-Men. I see people online all the time saying, Marvel, please stop making your heroes fight each other. Please, it doesn't work. Please stop. It's not 2006 anymore. Please stop. Right? So I know I'm not the only person who feels this way, but I'm one of the few people who is just getting into Marvel now and hasn't experienced the good times in the past and all these other great storylines that are actually representative of what the Marvel Universe is, that are actually representative of the actual quality of the universe and of Marvel Comics in general. So that's why it's difficult for me to get into comics right now, because for Marvel at least, because what I've read so far is just not good, and it's a coincidence, I'm sure, because there is good stuff going on in Marvel right now, like the individual series, Miss Marvel, All New Wolverine, Spider-Man. There's good stuff going on, Black Widow, but the events themselves are so irrational, and everything is a tie-in issue, so they end up interfering with the good series just to let some of the ridiculousness of these events leak in. I'm like, no, you're poisoning my greatness. Why are you doing that? You're corrupting the good series. Stop with these tie-in issues. But the one exception to that is Captain America, Steve Rogers, because those were the only tie-in issues that were actually legitimately relevant, and they proved they're actually those are actual issues that you should read to understand Civil War II the best, because they show you how Ulysses' visions are being manipulated. It's very clear. It makes you realize even more that Tony Stark is right and Captain Marvel is wrong. But Marvel doesn't make sense, and that's why it's hard to get into it right now. So hey, if you have some suggestions to stories I should read from Marvel that are actually representative of the quality of the universe, then go ahead. By all means, tell them to me, because I want to like Marvel. It's why I started reading them in the first place, because I want to like it. Okay, so please give me some suggestions to some different events or different series that I can read, because right now it's incredibly difficult to get into Marvel because it just doesn't make any sense. And that's that, you guys. Rate, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at BlacklistOTA, and I will see you guys next time.